Biology and its field of action. This science studies life from different standpoints. Branches derived from biology are anatomy, anthropology, botany, embryology, biomedicine, biochemistry, cytology, genetics, histology, immunology, virology, and zoology. Biology has allowed us to know the composition of the material that passes the genetic information from one living being to another. This evolution started with the prevalence of the archaea, then the bacteria, and later the eukaryote. This structure also allowed the cell to limit other cellular functions, which gave rise to the organelles and their specific functions. Likewise, biology studies the interaction between living beings, either cooperative or aggressive between them. In 1952, Stanley Miller was working with Harold C. Urey, designed an experiment to see how complex organic molecules might have formed under conditions in early Earth. They believed that early Earth atmosphere would have been composed in methane, ammonia, hydrogen, and water vapor. They sealed these gases in airtight containers and then exposed the gases to sparks as electricity to simulate lightning. Here can we see an example of the experiment they did. That's some of the few theories we had about how life started in Earth and how it maintained itself alive.
Some of living things, there are 8. The first one that we have is the genetic code. It's a set of rules by which info is sent to the proteins. The second that we have is the response to stimuli. It's a perception and response to the environment. The third is organization. Living things have an organization for levels, cells to tissues, tissues to organs, organs to organ systems. The fourth is the homeostasis, that is the balance of everything. The fifth is the metabolism, and is to get energy from food. The sixth is growth, and all the living things grow. The next that we have is reproduction, is to perpetuate their species. There are 3, sexual, asexual, and parasexual. And the last one that we have is adapt or die. The world has changed and need to adapt in order to die. Exists different types of cells, the prokaryotic and the prokaryotic. The prokaryotic don't have nucleus, and the difference is that the genetic code is found in the cytoplasm and the area of the nucleoid DNA, and they are unicellular and they reproduce asexually or parasexually. The components of the cell is the plasma membrane, and the cell wall, the cytoplasm, the chromosomes, the ribosomes, and the phloem. And the next cell that we have is the eukaryotic cell. There are 2 types, the animal cell and the vegetable cell. And the most notable difference among them is the presence of nucleus and the membranous compartment in which the genetic material is confined.
Theory of the microscope. Even though it's not confirmed who invented the microscope, evidence indicates that father-son team Zacharias and Hans Janssen aligned 2 lenses in a slide tube, creating the compound microscope. A decade later, Galileo Galilei developed the same device independently, and a quarter of a century later, one of his colleagues named it the microscope. Cell theory is one of the basic principles of biology. Credit for the formulation of the theory is given to the German scientists Theodor Schwann, Matthias Leiden, and Rudolf Virchow. The cell theory states that all living organisms are composed of cells. Cells comes from pre-existing cells. The cell is the basic unit of life. And the modern version of the cell theory includes the ideas that energy flow occurs within cells, hereditary information is stored in the cells, and all cells have the same basic chemical composition.
Well, first of all, I'm gonna talk about the cell transport, and it could be the two ways. First of all, one by one, that if it is active, it spends energy and it is against gradients of concentrations instead of passive, that it is in favor of gradients of concentrations, and it doesn't. A good example of active transportation could be the sodium or the potassium, and the passive is divided in diffusion and facilitated diffusion, and that's it. Diffusion, it is a movement of molecules of high concentration to low concentration. Diffusion, it could be diffusion but facilitated. That is the passage of molecules depending on the integral membrane that allows to pass the message. I mean, the type of transportation here, it is also passive, but it is and well, instead of the one by one that is divided in active or passive, we have also the massive, that they are divided in endocytosis and exocytosis, and the endocytosis could be divided in pinocytosis and phagocytosis, and the endocytosis consists in the ingestion of particles by the cell to form a phagosome, and the phagocytosis is the ingestion of liquid into a cell by building a small vesicles. That's it. Well, at this, I'm gonna teach you the levels of organization. And at the first level, we have the atom, which constitutes the molecule. The molecule also constitutes the organelles, and it forms the cell. After this, the cell constitutes as tissue, and it constitutes an organ. I mean, with the organ, we form a system, and a system is part of organism, or also a human, or a animal, plant, etc. And with the organism, we have that named population, that are some organisms, but not in an extended way. And the community difference of population is bigger than the population. And also we have the biome, formed by all of this. And here we have a picture of the atom, after that the molecule, the cellular organelles, the cell, the tissue, the organ system, the organism, the population, the community, the ecosystem, and the biome, the world. That's it. Yeah.
An organ system is a group of anatomical structures that work together to perform a specific function or task. The human body is composed of 11 different organ systems that are the muscular, skeletal, nervous, circulatory, lymphatic, endocrine, urinary or excretory, reproductive, integumentary, and digestive. Now we're going to talk about each one. The integumentary include your skin, hair, subcutaneous fat, and nails. The muscular system includes the skeletal muscles, but excludes smooth and cardiac muscles. The skeletal system is composed by bones, joints, cartilage, ligaments, and tendons. The nervous system includes the brain, spinal cord, autonomic and somatic nerves, and all sensory organs. The circulatory system includes the heart, blood vessels, and blood. The lymphatic system is made up by the lymphatic vessels and the lymphatic nodes. The respiratory system includes the organs of breathing like nose, mouth, throat, etc. The endocrine system is the collection of glands that produce hormones. The urinary system includes the kidneys, bladder, urethra, etc. The reproductive system is all the collection of internal and external organs that work together with the purpose of procreating. And finally, we have the digestive system that includes pancreas, liver, gallbladder, etc.
Okay, health and diseases. First of all, what is health? Health is a state in which the organic being executes normally all his functions according to the Real Academia Española. And disease is the loss of the balance of the homeostasis. Okay, according to the Greeks, disease is the unnatural condition and health is the natural disposition. From a biophysical social, health is an implicit right, and we have some factors that intervene in health. The 50% of these factors are lifestyles, what you eat, and if you do exercise or not. The 20% is genetics, and the other 20% is the environment, and the 10% left is the public health. And also, there are other factors that intervene in health because you need to be social, physical, and mental. You need to have a social, physical, and mental health. And yeah, girl. Health in adolescence. The adolescence is the transition between childhood and adulthood. And the adolescents or teenagers are considered healthy people because they are physically strong and they can resist diseases. And also, there are some risk factors in adolescence. A risk is a contingency or proximity of damage, and a factor is the influential magnitude and the determinant. A risk factor is the balance between, in the years, the balance between the factors that intervene in health, such as the biological, psychological, and social processes. Healthy lifestyles. Lifestyle is the most significant factor in its maintenance or the onset of disease. Lifestyles are related to social and cultural behaviors, and the lifestyles defined are the most important, representing 50% with a direct impact on the people's health. And there are two ways of looking at the behaviors included in the lifestyle. There are the pathogens and immunogens behaviors. The pathogen behaviors are those ones that increase the risk of an individual to get sick. And there are 7 immunogens behaviors that are sleeping between 7 and 8 hours, have breakfast every day, perform 3 meals per day, maintain body weight within acceptable limits, and practice a physical activity, and do not consume alcohol, and don't smoke.